Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Lost World Museum. I'm John Adolfi. I'm your host for the next few minutes, and we're going to be talking about longevity as it relates to the book of Genesis. What do you mean? Well, we talk about apes, aliens, or Adam. Where did we come from? Did we come from an ape-like creature? Good morning, Del. 2 to 3 million years ago, or were we kicked out of the cave 35,000 years ago by aliens who infused their DNA into ours and helped the evolutionary process along? That's the theory, at least. Or did we come from a race of long-lived genius giants who the first on this planet created 6,000 years ago were Adam and Eve? Those are the three worldviews that we typically look through the lens as we look at evidence, both historical, legends, and physical evidence. Yes, we talk about science as well, too. There's nothing wrong with science. It's just the interpretation on certain aspects of science where we may differ, or you'll see differing opinions or views. That's it. And for those of you that don't know about this channel, or this is the first time you've been here, we talk about science, religion, history, sometimes prophecy. We'll talk about all sorts of aspects of creationism versus evolution. We even touch on the alien theory. We even talk a little bit about Bigfoot. Lately I have been. And this right here is the Bigfoot growl. I'm going to give you a freebie, and then I'll show you how you can make this thing work. All right, maybe we'll get to that. But this morning's topic is longevity of Genesis. Did people really live to be 8, 9, almost 1,000 years? And who believes that, right? Well, it's interesting that Moses did, and he wrote the book of Genesis approximately 1440 BC. Understand, there have been other cultures like the Sumerians that estimate their kings to be in the thousands of years old, like 10 and 20,000 years old. Now, that is, critics of this idea that we live to be 900 years will turn to that and say, look, it's all hyperbole, it's all poetry, it's all made up, it's all imagination. Or the day-year principle, meaning that there was 13 moons for every year, and it's really 13 you need to divide it by. Really? Well, I'm going to postulate here, if I may, that the people before the flood really did live to be 800 to 900 plus years, and that it wasn't a simple division of moons or months to come to their real age. If you did that, yes, you would come up with 70 or 80 years of age. But when Noah built the ark, it took him 120 years to build it. If we use the same principle, it means that he built this massive ark, approximately 450 to 600 feet long by approximately 75 to 100 feet wide and 40 to 60 feet tall in less than a year, not 120 years. So I'm just going to put that one on the table right now for now, just to say maybe it really is it is a year for a year before the flood. Because what happens is that there is no jump off point to where you can factor a 10 to 1 ratio of getting these ages down to where we are today. Meaning that after the flood, Noah lived another 350 years. He was 950 years old when he died. Shem, on the other hand, was born 100 years before the flood. He ended up 500 years after the flood. He only lived to be 600 years, only. And then his son after that lived to be in the 400s. And then after that, in the 400s. And then it drops down into the 200s for a couple of generations. And then several generations later, you have Abraham that lived to be 175. There's a continuity there that you're not seeing some kind of reversal of mathematics by the time you get to Abraham or Moses. Moses lived to be 120 years. Okay? So anyway, it's just fiction. It's just fan fiction. Okay. You have to suspend your disbelief. You mean belief? I think you mean belief, maybe? like when you watch a movie. Anyway, here are some of the reasons why people before the flood were able to maintain their age, or what sustained them. First off, you had perfect soil. Now, this is under the assumption that the creation story is true. Okay, so let's just be clear on that, just so that there's no misunderstanding as to what we're doing here. And if we want to just strictly approach this from a theoretical hypothesis, let's do this together and look at it logically. Let's piece it together and then let it stand on its own. We don't have to defend it. We just let it speak for itself. So the assumption is that the soil was perfect, which means that the nutrients and micronutrients of the plant life that they ate was far exceeding anything that we have today, unless we put it under controlled conditions. But then again, we've got plants that are 120 to 200 generations, if you want to call 40 years a generation, let's just say, not plant generations, generations of genetic mishaps and things that have come along the way. So you had, and I'm just going to briefly just say, you had perfect food. For people that were originally created perfect, the genetic code must have been outstanding. There's a theory, and I subscribe to it, that humans were originally tall. I mean, very tall and extremely strong. One creationist worked back the genome and the degradation that has taken place over 125 generations since Adam, and utilizing that and applying it in two ways, and I can't go into it right now, two ways to the intelligence quotient suggests that Adam and Eve could have had a IQ of somewhere between, I believe it's 450 to 715 IQ. The other reason why humans lived so long, or why they were able to sustain themselves for that long, was because of the atmosphere. There is one idea that have suggested that the Earth's barometric pressure was 2 times what it is today. Maybe you saw the picture of Michael Jackson inside the barometric chamber. The idea is when you go inside a barometric chamber, yes, it helps cures the bends and other things too. But what they found is that things heal quicker. It's just, it allows the oxygen to get into the tissues quicker. So they've suggested that that is another factor in the pre-flood world. Now, one thing we all can agree on, all different sciences, whether creation or evolution or whatever, is that the ancient atmosphere was elevated in oxygen. And you know, oxygen, if it's not too high to create hypoxia or a poison, actually benefits whatever it is that's there, meaning animals and even plants. There was even a higher carbon dioxide level in the pre-flood atmosphere, they believe. So anyways, the oxygen levels weren't 21% like today. They have found oxygen in amber, and when they crushed the amber, they found the oxygen levels to be anywhere between 25 to 35%. So that's quite a bump. Now, when they use the hyperbaric chambers today, and they apply pure 100% oxygen for 45 minutes, 40 or 45 minutes, in a double, let's say, atmospheric pressure, unbelievable things can happen. And you can read about that online. Just look up hyperbaric chamber miracles. How about that for a word search? And you'll be able to get an idea of what the pre-flood world could have been like as far as its atmosphere and its effect on giantism and longevity. So there you go. That's the idea. At least give the plausibility, or at least the possibility, or at least understand more fully what the position is before one outright rejects it. So you can compare and contrast. You know, that's only fair when it comes to a good investigation, I guess you could say. All right. I'm going to read something to you. I just copied and pasted this in a Word doc. I want to do a video on it. Flavius Josephus of the Antiquities of the Jews. You can read it for yourself. It's chapter 3. All right. In chapter 3, I love this man. He talks about the longevity of the ancients. I'm going to read something to you. Don't let your eyes glass over just yet, okay? Here's what Josephus. Now, Josephus lived sometime after Christ. So, they assigned the age of his book right around 95, 100 AD. He had access to things that we don't have access today, apparently. So, all right. It says here, now check this out, because you'll see this. Maybe we've seen it here, and I'm sorry I'm not able to get to your comments and your questions and everything, and I appreciate all of you. And oh, by the way, before I read Josephus, could I just at least make one offer to you guys free? This is the only commercial that you're going to see on here, and it's a free thing. It's just to get my newsletter, which is coming out at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with cool video and a cool photo you won't see anywhere. A paw print in stone. You won't see it anywhere. Somebody sent it in to us, and I'm going to give you 2 free reports. One, just for signing up, you'll get it automatically. And then a little later this afternoon, I'll send you the other one because I have an engagement here very shortly. This is the one you're going to get right away. I'll give you the address to the URL for this. 3 top reasons Noah's Ark must still exist. You'll get this free for signing up for the newsletter. The newsletter's free. We've got almost 2,000 people that are going to receive it today. And just go to museumalerts.com. That's all you got to do. You don't even have to put your name in there if you don't want to, I think. First name, whatever, if you want to be. Anyway, museumalerts.com, you're going to get this. Then later on today, I'm going to send you personally myself this 5-page report, Is There Life on Other Worlds? That report right there, and the one I just showed you on Noah's Ark, doesn't exist anywhere on the planet. I created them specifically so that I can give them away as value added, and I don't even have them on my website, don't have them on my whatever, okay? So again, museumalerts.com, and there you have it. That's how you can receive all that. Okay, back to Josephus. Josephus writes, and I'm going to read this. Listen very carefully. Pull your phone a little closer, or edge up on your seat if you're in front of your screen or tablet. Here it goes. He says, "But let no one, upon comparing the lives of the ancients with our lives and the few years which we now live, think that we have said of them is false, or make the shortness of our lives at present an argument that neither did they attain to so long a duration of life." He's talking about the Antediluvians. "For those ancients were beloved of God and made by God himself." He's talking about genetics. "And because their food was then fitter for the proclamation or the prolongation of life, might live so great a number of years. And besides, God afforded them a long time of life on account of their virtue and the good use they made of it in astronomical and geometrical discoveries, which would not have afforded the time for foretelling the periods of the stars unless they had lived 600 years. For the great year, quote unquote, is completed in that interval." Now listen to this. To think that he is the only one, or I'm the only one, or some crackpot creationists are the only ones that say that humans actually lived nearly 1,000 years. Here's what he goes on to say. "Now I have for witnesses to what I have said all those who have written antiquities," meaning that he has ancient manuscripts by other historians before him, "both among the Greeks and barbarians. For even Manetho, who wrote the Egyptian history, and Berosus, who collected the Chaldean monuments, and Mochus, and Hesatitis, and besides these, Hieronymus, the Egyptian, and those who composed the Phoenician history, agree to what I say here. Hesiod, and Hectus, and Helicarnassus, and words I can't even pronounce, Aculeus, and besides those, Ephorius and Nicholas, related that," you ready? "The ancients lived 1,000 years." That the ancients lived 1,000 years. Interesting. When Jesus came on the scene, he had no problem backing up whatever Moses had to say. He agreed with it. He didn't disagree with it. Everything that's written in the book of Genesis, Jesus had no problem with. Neither did Paul, neither did Peter, neither did any of the New Testament writers. And none of the Old Testament writers that came after Moses disagreed with his account or corrected it. There's a continuity here of 1,600 years, and also the reputation of all these people, 40 different writers, the 66 books, and there's a continuity there. I make a case that the continuity and the type of people that wrote it and the continuity of the writing being in harmony with each other, as opposed to two people squaring off and arguing or trying to correct somebody years later because they were wrong and you wanted to make a name for yourself that we would see in other literature that's out there, or maybe we would do it, or I'm just saying though that idea flits through our brain because it seems natural to do that. Didn't take place here. All right, I think we've done enough today. I'm going to make one more appeal. For those who want to get my newsletter and the 2 free reports, including the one, Is There Life on Other Worlds? And also the 3 top reasons Noah's Ark must still exist. You can't get these anywhere on the internet, only through museumalerts.com. I'll send this to you later today, okay? Because I got to go. I got to speak, and then I will be at my in-laws later this afternoon, and I'll send this to you personally via email. But go to museumalerts.com. Our new newsletter is coming out at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard, so that's just an hour and a half away, and there you go. Are you related to Steve? No. All right, I guess that's it for now. I'm hoping to do an Instagram Live maybe tomorrow morning around the same time. So if you guys want to get alerted when we do a live presentation, this is free, 315-509-9075. It's a text number that I texted everybody before I went on. We've got 151 people that received the text currently, and it's free only for the United States and Canada. If you want to take it to the next level, the next step of receiving one text maybe a day or every other day, letting you know when we go live or when we have a new piece of content, i.e. a video, that's how you do it. 315-509-9075, and again, it's free. All right, guys, gotta go. Will there be new videos on YouTube? We did one last night, so if you're already signed up for our newsletter, we're going to be releasing it on there. If not, just go to the Lost World Museum website or YouTube channel, and it's on there. It's called Hidden Incan Gold. That's the latest that we did. All right. All right. Thank you. You guys have a nice day as well too. Thank you. Feel free to follow us if this is of interest to you, and we'll get talking again soon. Okay. All right. Have a wonderful day.